For one of the illustrations that we will submit for initial review, we'll create art for a golf design. The first thing I did was search online for images of golf-themed items. I want to incorporate a golf ball and golf clubs. I went to Google and researched golf-related images. The images were used in a broad sense and not to exactly copy other objects or art. Most people can't create things from their imagination without some sort of reference. But when you use other people's images for reference, you have to make the finished results your own. After gathering the images, I made several rough sketches to get a general idea for what I wanted the design to look like. This is the sketch of the finished design. This illustration is basically a combination of several objects that will be created separately and then combined in the design. Go over to Layers. On the layer with the image, click on the toggles lock to lock that layer and create a new layer. Close the panel. The first object will be the golf ball. First, we need to create the pattern on the surface of the ball. There are different patterns for different manufacturers. This one will use polygon shapes that interlock along the surface. Click on the pen tool and choose a black fill and no stroke. Choose the polygon tool and create a polygon. Copy and paste in front to create a row of 14 polygons stacked vertically about this distance apart. Go to Window in the top menu and choose Align. Select all of the polygons and click on Vertical Distribute Center. This creates an equal space between the objects. Zoom in on the top polygon. Use the Rectangle tool to create a shape like this that comes halfway down into the polygon. Go to Window in the top menu and click on Pathfinder. Select both the polygon and the rectangle and click on minus front. Copy and paste in front. Double-click on the Reflect tool and choose Horizontal. Move the objects to here. Using copies of these objects, create a honeycomb pattern that is 15 polygons wide. The final pattern should look like this. Select all of these objects and make the size 6 inches wide and 6 inches high. Export it as a JPEG in grayscale at 300 dpi. I used Photoshop for the next part. If you don't have Photoshop, you can use the image called Golf Ball Pattern in the provided images. With the pattern JPEG open in Photoshop, go to Filter in the top menu. Choose Distort, then Spherize. With the amount at 100%, click OK. Using the elliptical marquee tool, select a circle around the spherized part of the image. Hold down the Control key and hit the I key to reverse the selection. Hit the Delete key and click OK. Save the image as Golf Ball Pattern. In Illustrator, open a new document and place the JPEG onto the artboard. Change the angle to something like this that looks more natural. With the image selected, click on Live Trace. Click on Expand. Now ungroup it. Select the white object and delete it. Group the black pattern. Make sure it is 6 inches wide by 6 inches tall. Use the ellipse tool to create a circle that is the same size. Center it to the pattern using the Align tool. Also, go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. Change the colors to something that is easier to see and work with. These polygons use this gradient with these positions. These use this one. These use this gradient. And finally, these polygons use this gradient. The circle uses this gradient and these positions. Copy the circle and paste in front. Make the fill none and the stroke 2 points, and align to the outside. Copy the ball, paste it onto the golf ball design artboard, and size it to fit the ball in the image. On the Layers panel, double-click the layer and rename it as Golf Ball. Now you can lock this layer. Now create another layer. Next, let's create the golf club. Using the drawing as a rough idea of what the club will look like. You can use a more detailed photo for reference if you need to. Select the pen tool and give it no fill and a bright blue stroke. Using the pen tool, make a shape around this area of the club. Make this shape and extend it past the right side of the previous shape. With the Pathfinder panel open, select both objects and click on Divide. Ungroup the objects and delete the section on the right. Make this shape and divide the shape from the larger shape. Create this one and use the same process. Create this line. Copy and paste in front 4 more and line them up like so. Hit the plus key and add points to the lines. Select each line individually. Hit the minus key and delete the points on the right of each line up to where we create the last points, so that they conform to the shape of the club head on the right side. Create this shape. Group the previous shapes. Copy them. Select those shapes and the new shape and click on minus back. Paste in front. Use the same process to create these 2 shapes. Use the pen tool to make the shaft of the club next. Select the top part of the head of the club and copy it. Select it and the shaft, and in the Pathfinder tool, click on minus back. Now paste in front. Now create this object above the shaft. Copy the new object. Select it and the shaft and click on minus front. Now paste in front. Create this line. Copy and paste in front 12 copies and line them up like so. Select all of the lines. Go to the Align panel and click on Vertical Distribute Center. Create this shape for the grip. The left and right edges represent wrapped leather and follow the lines we created previously. Copy the shape just under it and use the minus back option in the Pathfinder panel. Paste in front. Use the direct selection tool to fit the lines to the shape of the grip. Create this shape. Copy it. Select the grip and the new shape, and then the Pathfinder panel, click on minus front. Now paste in front. Create this shape. Copy it. Select it and the previous shape. Click on minus front. Paste in front. Select all of the objects and give everything a 0.6 point stroke. Separate and line up the color panel and the gradient panel. You can close or reset the other panels if you want to for now. These four objects that make up the grip use this gradient with these colors and positions. The angle is minus 39 degrees. This angle may be slightly different in your artwork. The idea is to make the gradient follow the angle of the club. The shaft uses these colors with an angle of minus 39 degrees as well. These three objects use this gradient. This shape uses this three-color gradient. This shape is 15% black. This one is 50% black. This one is 90% black. Select the entire club and group it. Copy it and paste in front. Double-click on the Reflect tool and mirror it vertically. Move it into position. Select both clubs and group them. In the Layers panel, name the layer Golf Clubs. Lock the layer. Make it and the golf ball layer invisible, and create a new layer. To create the shield, start with a shape like this, made with the pen tool. Copy it, and in the Reflect tool, choose Vertical and click OK. Move the shape to the other side and overlap it slightly with the previous shape. Select both shapes and click on Unite in the Pathfinder panel. Zoom in tight with the Zoom tool. Choose the minus key and click on the points you don't need. Also use the Direct Selection tool to adjust the handles on the points if needed. Copy the object. Fill this shape with white. Make the stroke 13 points and align stroke to outside. Go to Object and click on Expand Appearance. Ungroup the objects and delete the inner white section. Paste in front the original shield shape. I want to make a vertical pattern on the inside of the shield. Use the Rectangle tool and make a rectangle that is 0.3 inches wide and 7.5 inches tall. Go to Edit, Preferences, and General, and change the keyboard increment to 0.3. Copy the rectangle and paste in front. Use the arrow key to move it to the right. Repeat this process until you have enough rectangles to cover the entire width and height of the inner part of the shield. The width should extend just past the edges. Now group these rectangles. Select the rectangles and the inner part of the shield, and in the Pathfinder panel, click on Divide. Ungroup them, and delete the shapes that extend past the edges of the inner shield. In the Layers panel, name the layer Shield. Lock the layer, make it invisible, and then create a new layer. Go to your Ellipse tool and give it no fill and a bright blue stroke. Create this ellipse. Use the Selection tool to adjust it to fit the shape in the drawing. Now we'll make the starburst pattern. Using the area beside the artboard, start with the pen tool and make a triangle that is 4 inches wide and 0.5 inches tall. Click on the Rotate tool. Alt-click on the single point on the right. In the window that pops up, make the angle 12 and click Copy. Hold down the Control key and hit the C key. Keep the Control key held down and also click the F key and the D key. Repeat this process. This should continue to paste copies around the center point. When the area is filled, your starburst is finished. Group it. Make it 5.5 inches wide. Now copy the ellipse. Select the ellipse and the starburst. Click on the ellipse again to highlight it, and in the Align panel, click on Horizontal Align Center and Vertical Align Center. With both still selected, click on Divide in the Pathfinder panel. Ungroup the objects and delete the unwanted sections that extend past the edges of the ellipse. Paste in front the ellipse. Paste in front again. Expand the copy to fit the outer ellipse shape in the drawing. In the Layers panel, name the layer Ellipse. Lock the layer, make it invisible, and create a new layer. Now we'll make the banner. Choose the Rectangle tool and create a rectangle that is 5.4 inches wide and 0.8 inches tall. With the rectangle selected, go to Object, Envelope Distort, and click on Make with Warp. In the panel, make it an arc, horizontal, and 35%. You can check the results before you click OK by clicking on the Preview button. Click OK. Go to Object, Expand. Check Object and uncheck Fill. Click OK. Move it into position. Copy and paste in front and move the shape to here. Use the Rotate tool and Selection tool to rotate and reposition the object to fit the end of the banner in the drawing. Add points here. Delete the points on the right. Use the Convert Anchor Point tool to adjust the shape like this. Add a point here. Move it to here and use the Convert Anchor Point tool again to adjust the curves. Select the large part of the banner and copy it. Select both shapes and in the Pathfinder panel, click on Minus Back. Now paste in front. Create this shape, extending it past the edges of the previous one. Select both and in the Pathfinder panel, click on Divide. Ungroup and delete the unwanted shape. Click on Round Join to make the corners rounded. Select these objects, copy them, paste in front, reflect them vertically, and move them to the other side. In the Layers panel, name the layer Banner. Lock the layer, make it invisible. Now unlock the shield layer and make it visible. Make these objects a dark green color. Use a slightly lighter green on these shapes. The outside part of the shield is this gradient with these positions. It also has a 2-point stroke in the same darker green color as part of the shield. Lock that layer again and pull the layer behind everything except the drawing. Make it invisible. Make the ellipse visible and unlock it. Don't forget to highlight the layer you're working on. Ungroup it and make these shapes this green color. Make these a darker green. The outer ellipse uses the same gradient and 2-point outline as the outside part of the shield. The inner ellipse also uses this dark green outline. Lock that layer again and pull the layer just in front of the shield layer. Make it invisible. Make the banner layer visible and unlock it. Color the large center section of the banner with the same lighter green color that is in the ellipse. Give it a 2-point green stroke in the same color as the other dark green strokes. The shapes on each end get this darker green color that is in the ellipse and a 2-point stroke. These two shapes use the same outline, but the green is darker than the previous two green colors. Drag the banner layer to just in front of the ellipse, but behind the golf clubs. Make sure the golf clubs are behind the golf ball. Make all of the layers visible. Delete the layer with the drawing. Go to Document Setup and Edit Artboards, and at the top make the width 17.5 inches and the height 18 inches. Unlock all of the layers, select everything, and make the art 16 inches tall. Make sure your art is centered on the page. Your golf design illustration is now complete. The finalized art that was used for upload is slightly different than the art we've created in this tutorial. It uses a more condensed sunburst pattern and rounded corners on the shield, and the colors may be slightly different. You can go through that art for yourself if you want to, and check out the exact specs for the uploaded version. And thanks for watching.